right at that moment, I can still remember the feeling. I had all kinds of obligations at that particular time. But I made up my mind right there, right then, I was coming back and I was going to work with this guy because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do what he was doing. Now, I'd been working with his material for 5 years. I was very familiar with what he was doing, but it never entered my mind I could do it. I didn't know that it was simply a matter of deciding what you love to do and then dedicate your life to it. You start to think of all the reasons why you can't. Now, when I started the office cleaning business, everybody thought I was out of my mind. I had got a job on the fire department. And for a guy where I came from, the fire department, I mean, that was way up there. I didn't have enough formal education to get on the fire department. I was grossly underweight. I weighed 135 pounds. You had to weigh 160. You had to have at least a high school education. I didn't even have a start of one. But there was an ad in the paper. They were going to hire 21 new firemen in 2 waves. And I thought, boy, would I ever love to be able to do that. First of all, they get $100 a week pay. Now, there was a magistrate, that's something like a judge in Canada, lived a few doors up from my mother. And God only knows what got me to do this. I went and knocked on his door. And I said, Mr. Lynn, you don't really know me. My mother lives a couple of doors down from you. And she hadn't lived there too long. And I said, they're hiring fire department firemen over here in East York. This was a part of Toronto. It was like a suburb of Toronto. And I would like to put in an application, and I was wondering if there's anything you could do to help me. He was a big man. He said, come on in, son. He said, sit down. He said, so you want to be a fireman, do you? And I said, yes, sir. Well, he gets on the phone. He phones the Reeve. He said, I got a young man here who would like to be a fireman. Is there something you can do for him? Okay, thanks very much, Bill. Yeah, you go on over tomorrow and put the application in. Before I know it, they tell me to go for a medical. So I'm in this office, a real old guy's office. His glasses are down the end of his nose. And he said, you want to be a fireman, do you, son? And I said, yes, sir. So he checked me over. He says, go on over there and weigh yourself. So I got on these scales, you know, where they stand and you move the bar. I move, and he says, what's it say? I said, 160. He looked at me and he said, well, we'll leave it at that then. Now, I'm putting parts of this in for reason. I had been working for $48 a week, $1 an hour. I worked 48 hours a week. Okay? I worked 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. In a gas station, pumping gas, greasing cars, changing oil. 1 week out of the month, I would work Sunday, so I'd get an extra $8. So I was working every day except 3 Sundays a month for $1 an hour. I found myself in the fire department. We worked 7 days and 7 nights a month. And when we go in at night, we go and make our bed, clean sheets. Then we go in the kitchen, maybe make some coffee, or then we go and play cards or darts or something. And when it got a little later, we go to bed. Now, I worked in an area where there was hardly ever any fires. It was an imposition that we had to get out of bed and go and put a fire out. You see? And I'm getting $100 a week. Nobody had quit that job one person since 1934. And I'm quitting. And the chief says, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to clean offices. Oh, Bob, he said, don't do this. He said, you know, you can't come back. I said, I know. I was scared. But I had been reading that book. And I thought, I'm going to go in my own business. I'll clean lots of offices. Everybody thought I was out of my mind. And in less than 5 years, I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. And you know what I was doing? I was just walking away from the whole thing to take a job for $18,000 a year working with Earl Nightingale. They said, oh, Bob, don't do that. Do you know what you're doing? They were always telling me I was crazy doing what I was doing. Do you know the opposite of creativity is routine? I see a number if you're going to write that down. The opposite of creativity is routine. Well, you see, I had this enormous desire to express my uniqueness. Now, you talk about, was I scared? I was so scared I got physically sick. I literally got sick because I was going to quit the job. But I hear, if you discipline yourself, you say, I'm trying to break out. Just break out. And I go to express my uniqueness, and the paradigm hauls you right back down. It's got such a grip on you. And the uniqueness wants to be expressed again. And the paradigm pulls you down. Now, I don't know who I'm going to talk about here, but I know that I'm talking about somebody. You looked at this, you thought, I'm going to do that. And the paradigm said, don't do that. You can't afford to do that. And something else saying, no, go ahead and do it. No, the paradigm saying, no, don't do it. That's going on with some of you. And then you'll say, what do you think I should do? What the hell would you ask anyone what they think you should do when it comes to your growth? I remember one time I was at a meeting with Mary Morrissey. It was her seminar. And she was explaining an advanced course. And she came to me and she said, Bob, there's a guy here who really wants to go and he's afraid. Would you talk to him? I said, sure, I'll talk to him. I said, come on, you come with me. And we sat down there and said, what are you afraid of? And he said, I don't think my wife would get upset. I said, what the hell do you mean your wife would get upset? Well, he said, to spend this money. I said, what's your wife's name? I forgot what her wife's name, but Mary remembers this guy. You ask Mary about it, she'll tell you. She remembers it well because we often laugh about it. I said, what's your wife's name? He told me. Let's say her name's Mary and his Harry or something, I don't know. And I just remember the situation. And I said, well, why would you phone her? Well, he said, we just respect each other and we don't do anything without the other person's approval. So I said, what you're telling me, if Mary saw a nice dress, she would have to get your approval to buy it. Well, yeah, but it's working. I said, this is not working at all. This is a bunch of bullshit. I said, you got to quit kidding yourself. I said, you get Mary on the phone. I want to talk to her. So he got Mary on the phone. And I said, Mary, I'm sitting here with Harry. Harry would really like to go to an advanced course. It's going to cost a couple of $1,000s. And I said, he's afraid to because he's afraid you'll get upset. No, I said, Mary, I've got an idea. I said, I understand if you want to get a dress, you got to get Harry's approval. I said,